What's up, gentlemen? I'm Justin Stenstrom from Elite Man Magazine, and in this video I'm going to share with you the top 5 social skills that you must learn. Because having good social skills is so important across all avenues of life. No matter where you go, who you're talking to, or what you're doing, you're probably going to need good social skills. And there are so many facets to having good social skills. It's not just like one skill or two skills, it's actually a multitude of skills. And in this video I'm going to break down what the most important parts of those skills are. So let's dive right into it. The 5th most important social skill that you must master is having the ability to make people laugh. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out and be a stand-up comedian here. I'm not saying you have to be like Chris Rock or Chris Farley or Eddie Murphy or Robin Williams. Someone who's just incredibly good at making people laugh and incredibly good at being a stand-up comedian. You don't have to do that. What I'm talking about here is actually just being able to say witty, clever, funny things from time to time so you can make people smile and laugh. Because when you do this, you're going to become the guy that people want to be around. People are going to be just attracted to your presence because when they're in your presence, you're giving them a good time. And again, it doesn't even have to be super complicated. The best way to do this, the best way to actually start being more funny right now is just pick out things that funny people say and do that you already know and listen to. So this could be stand-up comedians, this could be close friends that you have or people that you know who are just really funny. Start imitating some of the things that they do and introduce that into your conversation. Again, you don't have to be a stand-up comedian here, but just picking out the way they say things, their presentation, their timing, the jokes that they use, the sarcasm that they use, using those types of things in your conversations is going to make you a funnier person. And the 4th most important skill that you must learn to become a better socializer and communicator is listening. Listening is by far one of the most important skills to have when it comes to having a conversation with somebody else. That person that you're having a conversation with wants to know that you're paying attention to what they're saying. If you're someone who just rambles on and just talks about themselves all the time, you're going to be a shitty communicator. The truth is, people want to hear themselves more than anyone else in the world. Even if they're talking to the most interesting man in the world, they still want to hear their own voice. If you're not giving them those chances for them to listen to their own voice, they're going to tune you out and just think that you're a boring, self-centered type of person, and they're not going to have a good time with you in conversation. But actually taking a step back and letting the other person step up in the conversation and speak more is probably one of the best things that you can do to come across as a better communicator. Even if it may not be natural, or even if it may not be what you would normally want to do, taking a step back in the conversation is going to raise your value in that conversation. And of course, you can do things like nodding your head when they're talking to you or paraphrasing back to them what they're saying to you so they know that you're actually listening. And the 3rd most important skill to learn when it comes to social skills is having the ability to read someone's body language. This is actually one that is so often overlooked, and I think people oftentimes in conversations will get so caught up in what they're saying. They're trying to think about the next thing to say, or even they'll get so caught up in listening to the other person that they forget to actually read the nonverbal signals that the other person is giving off. But this is so important because if you really think about it, having a good conversation with someone is really about the both of you having a good time. If you're having a good time but the person's not having a good time, it's a shitty conversation. If that person's having a good time and you're not having a good time, it's also a shitty conversation. Therefore, it's up to you. If you want to be a good communicator, if you want to have good social skills, you really got to learn how to read the other person. Judge how they're talking, how they're saying things, the tone of voice they're using, the body language that they have, the mannerisms that they have, if they're more engaged, if they're stepping back, if they're not super into different conversation topics that you're bringing up, or if they do peak and get more excited when you do bring something up. All of these things should just naturally be crossing your mind. Like, you don't have to go through like some kind of computer and just constantly analyze certain things, but you should be aware. Your antennas, so to speak, should be on so you can pick up these things. And maybe in the beginning it's going to be a little awkward, and maybe in the beginning you're going to be kind of robotic when these conversations happen, but if you really practice these types of things, it's going to come naturally over time. You're just going to pick up on all these nonverbal cues. And when you do learn these things, trust me, you are going to be a way better communicator. You're going to know when to say different things. You're going to know how to say different things. You're going to know how to steer the conversation, what subjects to talk about, what subjects not to talk about, what's really engaging, what's not engaging, what's drawing them away, what's bringing them in. All of these types of things they're giving to you with their nonverbal signals, and you're going to be picking up on that. This really is one of the biggest secrets to great communicators. They are so great at reading other people and deciding where to steer the conversations. If you can get good at this skill, trust me, you're going to be phenomenal when it comes to socializing. And the second most important social skill that there is relating to people. So, if you want to connect with someone else, the quickest, fastest, and most efficient way to connect with that person is to relate with them. The truth is, in human psychology, the phrase opposites attract really doesn't apply. Yes, there are situations, yes, there are exceptions, but it's very rare that you see two people who are totally dissimilar actually come together and be attracted. The normalcy is actually finding people come together when they see commonalities, when they can relate to each other. That's really when there's attraction there. So, with that said, if you want to build attraction with someone, if you want to feel connected with someone, if you want to get closer to someone, you got to find commonalities and you got to relate to that person. It really is the best and most effective way to connect with someone, and especially when you're in a conversation with someone, when you're working on your communication and social skills, you definitely want to connect with that person, so you got to find similarities between you and that person. You got to find commonalities, things that you both like to do, shared interests, and bring those up and connect on those topics. You don't want to fake that you like something and pretend that you like something even if you really don't, because that really isn't going to work. People can see through that kind of bullshit. But if they do say something and you don't really like that thing, you also don't have to come out and say that you hate that thing or that you don't like it, because that can immediately shut down rapport. Instead, just be indifferent about it, or just kind of nod your head or say something like okay or yeah, but just switch it on to like a different topic. So you don't want to be breaking that rapport where you say, I don't like this thing because that person likes it. It could be really important to them, and you could be messing up the conversation and your chances of actually connecting with them. On the other hand, when they do say things that you do genuinely like or you do genuinely have interest in, talk about those things more. If you see that they get more engaged or they have more energy or enthusiasm when they're talking about these subjects, those are definitely the things that you want to jump all over. Even if it's just one thing, if they show genuine interest or enthusiasm when they're talking about that one thing, and you like that thing, bring that up more and talk all about that thing. And you really only need one thing to connect with. That's really all it takes. If you vibe with someone over just one thing and that person is super into this thing, say it's fishing or playing basketball or shooting guns or going to concerts, whatever it is, if you guys vibe over that one thing, that's all you need for that person to think you're awesome, for that person to think you're incredible, for that person to think that you are incredible at socializing and communicating. And the number one most important skill to becoming a better socializer today is keeping the conversation going. So I'm gonna guess that you've probably had awkward pauses in conversations in your life where you and another guy or another woman are talking, you're having a good time, you're both connecting and vibing on different subjects, when all of a sudden one of you or both of you just runs out of shit to say. It is one of the worst things and one of the most awkward situations to be in, when you're both just sitting there staring at each other blankly because neither one of you can come up with something to say. Now, generally this will happen with someone that you probably have just met, whether you're out at the bar or a party or club, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But you really don't have experiences or stories or a strong vibe yet to just riff and just go and say random shit that pops into your head and keep the conversations going. But it is so critical and crucial to actually getting good at socializing to be able to have that skill where you're just riffing and talking about anything that pops into your head. Even if you just met that person and you guys don't have a strong connection yet, you got to be able to just talk about random shit and keep the conversation alive. Because if you run out of things to say, that conversation is probably just going to die off, and that relationship probably isn't going to get any traction and go anywhere. So do this. Next time you're with your friends, think of all the things that you're doing in that moment that make you so effective at communicating. Because generally speaking, when we're with our good friends, we are at our very best. We have an incredible mood, we have an incredible energy, we're in the moment, we're just thinking of random topics and subjects and things to say that make us so effective at communicating. And the next time you go to meet someone new, step into the frame, the mindset that you have when you're with your best friends, because that's the mindset you need to be at your very best, to think of things off the top of your head and just rip. You can literally talk about anything and just keep the conversation going on and on and on until you feel like stopping it. And another little exercise that you can try right now that's going to actually help you work this muscle of just being able to free flow different thoughts is looking around in the room that you're in right now. So literally just look around at different objects, and when you see a different object, you come up with a story behind that object and just verbalize that aloud to yourself. So you'll literally be talking to yourself out loud about different things that you see. So you see the light switch, or you see the TV, or the desk, or the laptop. You just come up with a little story. It doesn't even have to be a good story, but just something surrounding that object, so you can actually work that muscle of being able to riff off different subjects off the top of your head. Yeah, if somebody walks into the room, they're probably going to think you're a little crazy, but that doesn't matter, because this is about you and getting better at socializing. And of course, you can always sign up for something like an improv class, which basically does the exact same thing of working that muscle and having you think on your toes. But that's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like below and also share in the comment section which one of these skills that you're going to work on to improve your social life. Also, make sure you subscribe to our channel right now and hit the notification bell to get notified the instant we release a new video.